Welcome back to Ringworm, everybody. Ringworm is my property here in Michigan. Fairly remote, no neighbors to speak of, where I've lived in this fine tent or others for, won't be too long. It'll be 2 years living out here. It's great. I love winter camping more than just about anything else. But on the coldest days of the winter, I have to leave here in order to edit videos. My computer, I've got about maybe 2 more weeks or so where I can actually edit out here. Temperatures get too low, can't use the computer, can't feel your fingers. So I've decided to build a mini cabin out here. I do everything by myself, do it with a chainsaw, and just because I think it's fun, I do it without any plans and really without any thought. This is the spot I've picked out here. Had to clear all these out. I think in the last video I cut all these down. Decided on these 2 stumps here for the foundation. Then it'll come out here, make a square. I think it's going to be in the neighborhood of 10 by 10 because, you know, I want it big. I want to be able to do activities in there. So I've decided to frame the majority of this from one giant pine back down this trail here. It's one of the bigger trees on the property. I don't know if you can tell from here, but these are 90% of the trees on the property are cedar. We've got a couple of, I think that's a spruce right there, but for the most part it's cedar. There are a few white pines, really big white pines. I'm trying to look and see if you can see any of them poking up above the canopy. At least half of them have dead tops, and they've been dead for a long time. I don't know why. The rest of the tree, you come down about maybe 40 feet, and then the tree just picks up being alive. But at that point, it's got, you know, 7 branches left on it, and they're certainly not going to live that long like that. So this one up above my shooting range, I decided to take down. Did that in the last video. And I'm going to get, it was about 30, I believe 39 feet of usable log up to 22 or 24 inches, which is way bigger than I could mill with my chainsaw. So we'll figure out some workaround for that so that I can actually mill it up. In the last video, I milled up 1 log, made some 2x6s that I'm going to use for the floor joists here. And I also have previous videos. I don't know if you could make it out way back here. There are a couple of really big quaking aspens that are fell down in a windstorm. Massive logs, again, a little bigger than I'd like to mill with my chainsaw mill, but I'm going to mill those up into probably 1 or 1.5 inch boards and then floor this whole thing with that too. So I'm going to head it back out here. I've got the next 10.5 footer cut out of the main trunk of the tree. When it fell over, it impaled, I think, some pretty massive branches. It's all cleaned up on, you know, everything that you can see, but I think we've got 1 or 2 sticking right down into the dirt. It's on a hillside too, so I have to be careful not to lose these down the hill. If that's the case, if they get down there, I can't, they're way bigger than I could pull with a 4-wheeler. Just don't want to end up on a hillside trying to mill this stuff. Actually, I'm curious to see if my log lifter will hold it up long enough for me to cut that branch. Oh, that sucker's really stuck in there. So buried. I like to try to stay on the uphill side of a log like this, even though there's not very far it can go. Holy crap, would you look at... What is that thing?
I found a sacred scroll.
Great Googles and Moogles.
What's up?
I wasn't ready to hear the "oh" yet.
Yeah, nobody is.
This was the big old double limb that was stuck in the ground. Fortunately, cracked some stuff there. And came all the way down the side, so that kind of is too bad. I'm still gonna maybe get a 1x out of there or something and then go to 2x's all the rest of the way down. Dang, that is a nice chunk of lumber there. So those are like 2x16s, 10.5 feet. That's a 20-inch bar on there, which means you get like 17 to 18 inches usable. And this is, yeah, about 17, 16 and a half. Oh, yeah, about 17. And down there it was right at 18, just barely sneaked it through there. It's not light. Maybe that's why you usually let the wood season. I don't know. I don't do that. Any idea how much a 2x18 by 10.5 foot board would cost? Got a lot of them. I'm selling. Alright, I believe that's enough to frame the floor. This is 8 or 10 trees worth of wood chips. It's probably about 2 feet deep. I might as well chip it all before I build it. Look at me planning ahead, huh? Maybe I should leave it like that, the whole thing like tipped up a little bit, just to make it interesting.
Have everything run to one corner so
Yeah.
it's easy to...
And then only eat spherical foods.
I was gonna say, in case you drop your M&Ms.
And shoot BBs. Well, that was close. I could live here. How about you?
Like a little mess.
Hello there, ladies. Oh, I forgot I filled this with gravel. That's nice. And it's been driven over by the four-wheeler a whole bunch of times, so it's pretty well packed. I'm normally fine with putting cedar stumps right on the ground, and the cool thing about building little bitty stuff like this is if the stuff, I mean, I'm going to use this thing for a year or two and want to build something else completely different and totally forget about this thing. So I truly don't care if this lasts. If it lasts 5 years, that'd be awesome. As you guys know, most of the stuff I build, I just build it and I don't use it. I just like to build stuff. But if I did put cedar right on the ground, I'd be totally fine with that. And if it rotted out in 5 or 10 years, it takes nothing to jack the whole thing up and put a new stump in it. So, but since these are here, I might as well put them down. Not going to hurt anything. Good enough for moi. I have to do some trimming to get this thing straight though. Since you're here, Mr. Whitland man, I'm gonna hold the end of that for a sec.
Yeah.
Just right down the center of that sucker. I don't know why I get this accent once I'm working hard. Ooh, it's hard to hit them sometimes.
Is that accent?
I guess I gotta do that side too, huh?
Contagious.
What an idiot. It's hard to do it sideways. Here you go.
Right in the teeth. Always in the teeth.
Soon to be right in the tooth. God, everything's so sticky.
Is that really what I was just looking at that thinking, look at all that water that's coming out of there.
Yeah,
But that
I mean, you can put stuff on here and it'll, look at that. I'm betting less than 50% hitting those nails. All right, one more. Wouldn't it be cool if I could just kick up into a handstand?
I bet you could off camera.
Probably. Oh, is that still on? Yeah, I mean, if that wasn't on,
Yeah.
it would not be a problem. Would you like to tell the good people of the world what it is you're whittling?
And then
Gotta spit.
that was disgusting.
Oh, you got a burl or something?
Yeah, it was a small pine burl.
Let's see if your aim's any better than mine.
Oopsies.
Uh-oh. No pressure.
You didn't put the nails in straight.
Oh, look at you. Whatever. That's total
Still got it.
Look at this lovely cabin.
I know, it's amazing how quick.
How quick what?
Like it does come together, you know?
Well, I started about a month ago, so it doesn't seem very quick to me. Man, if you want to warm up in the morning, all you gotta do is carry one of these around for a while. Jeez, oh Pete. Uh-oh. These are my clean gloves. I just got some sap on them. That's not okay. There's one joist short, so I'm gonna rip it out of this, nail it in, and then do the one part I don't really want to do is try to mill up that giant aspen log. The good thing is, this is 10.5 feet, and that log is 11, so it's perfect. I was afraid it was going to be like 10 foot 2, and then I was going to have to piece this whole thing together, but I wouldn't be surprised if I do the floorboards like 1 or 1.5 inches. Maybe I'll do 1 1/4. If that one log does the whole thing, I hope it does. That would be great. It's just the aspen log is the same size as these. It's as big as you could possibly cut with the chainsaw, and it's a lot denser wood, and now it's partially frozen, so it's going to be some work to get through that. And it's sitting on the ground and not smooth ground and not dry ground, so whatever, must be done. Let's get this guy cut. Thinking about just letting the whole thing float on here in case in case the building actually outlasts the stumps, which is never going to happen. But if I wanted to put more supports underneath here or something, I can just jack it up and like throw another log in there, replace the corners or whatever. So I think what I'm going to do is just screw a block down there and in through the sides, and then I could still get to the sides and unscrew it if I wanted to jack this up. Now normally you'd use rebar and concrete for something like this, you know, to anchor it down to the earth. I figured a 5" by 5" block on only 2 corners would be enough. Don't you think?
Are you using 2" screws?
I'm using 3.5, that's why I wanted extra safety.
Yeah.
Okay, you think it's good?
Fine.
Alright. Gotta take a minute and sharpen up all my milling chains before I go out and attack that aspen log. I don't know if you can see, this is like the worst one here. You can see how much pine sap is baked into each link. A couple of them are pretty bad, a couple of them aren't too bad, but I'm gonna dunk them in rubbing alcohol real quick and scrub them off. I use this rubbing alcohol like 4 or 5 sets of chains, and then in between I just let it sit, and all the solids kind of sink to the bottom after I take them out of there, and then I pour the alcohol off the top and throw the solids away. But it was getting a little bit funky, so time to put some new alcohol in there. Alright, let's see if we can get through this. I don't know, I'm gonna try to see if I can bust the bark off of this first, just to take up some of the diameter of the log. It's a pretty big guy, and this stuff is really hard. We just got one more day, just today, before we get a big storm, so I'd love to get this floor on today. I kind of doubt that's gonna happen, but we'll give it a go. Man, that is going to make a pretty floor. Unfortunately, it's going to get walked on and all dirtied up, but you know, for the first 8 minutes it'll be beautiful. This log is just incredibly light colored. This one broke off at the bottom in a windstorm and knocked this guy over. That's why there's a big root ball there. And so I started cutting out of the first tree, just cutting rounds, and they were all pretty rotten out. So I don't think I've gotten a really straight, good log from this far down the tree yet of these aspens, these quaking aspens. So this is great. In case you're interested, it takes about a tank of gas to make 2 boards, and I'm getting like 3 to 4 cuts out of a chain. So I'm just on my second chain now. It's about done. I got 1 or 2 more boards to go, and then we'll carry this over and see how much floor it covers. Well, that actually went far better than I expected. I got through the entire log with just 2 chains. I used those new Granberg milling chains that all the teeth are sharpened to 10 degrees. And I mean, I can't think of all the ways that you could stage an experiment to figure out if that's really what made all the difference. Could be the log, the age of the log, I don't know, but those are the best chains I think I've used so far. I milled another of these Aspen logs a while back, and it took more than 1 chain per pass. Like I get halfway through the log and have to stop and switch the chain out. I eventually threw the log aside and didn't even use it. But this thing I got through, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got 10 boards out of that. A couple are halvesies, but that was quite something. I'm impressed. So this is what we got out of it. The center of it did have some breaks and funky spots in it, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to use it anyway. Now that none of it was soft. So when I turned the saw off and took my earmuffs off, I realized it's been raining for a little bit. I'm a little wet. Didn't even notice it. Had my earplugs in. I was listening to Unbroken, like one of the best books ever. Most engrossing, most unbelievable stories. If you guys haven't read or listened to Unbroken, definitely check it out. But I was into that and milling along, and apparently I looked at the radar, it's been raining for like 20-30 minutes and I didn't even realize it. So it goes. I was just remembering the first time I read this book and really couldn't believe that it was a true story. If any of you guys have read it, I know a lot of people have, you probably know what I'm talking about, but it's like the most amazing story you've ever heard, transitioned into the most amazing story you've ever heard, and then it keeps going. It's like 3, 4, 5 stories all in one that you can't believe any of them, and it's all to one guy. Kind of makes a guy feel like he hasn't done much with his life, or hasn't had much happen to him, I guess. As you probably know, if you cut lumber like this and use it immediately, you get all sorts of cupping and cracking and shrinking and everything. These are going to shrink a lot. Generally it shrinks side to side a lot more than it will any other direction, but they'll end up, I'm going to snap lines and cut these edges straight, put them perfectly tight together, and then you know, over time, by next year, there'll be gaps. I bet there'll be even half-inch gaps maybe, and you know, at that time I'll just figure out how to deal with it. I can either cut strips and lay them in there. I was actually thinking it would look kind of cool if I let the board shrink up, and if I made it like a half-inch gap or something and then laid in like strips of some other kind of wood, some dark wood or something. I don't know. I don't really worry about it, you know. If there are cracks in the floor, fix it. Most important thing is that I have fun today, right? And this is fun. It would make a lot of sense to do this with a on a table saw or with a skill saw. I do have a skill saw. I don't really like to run the generator all day just to make some cuts, so I'm gonna, as usual, I'm gonna do it with a chainsaw. Especially since, like, if this wood was already seasoned, already dried, and it wasn't gonna split a whole bunch, I would consider cutting it with a skill saw, turning the generator on. But since it's gonna shrink so much anyway, doesn't really matter that much if the seams are perfectly tight together, you know. The whole point is to have a good time. And if you don't mind things coming out a little wonky in the end, then you just focus on enjoying yourself right now. After doing this for the better part of 2 years, just building whatever kind of weirdness I want when the mood strikes, I can't even imagine planning ahead long enough to season lumber. Like to know exactly what I'm going to build, when, how big it's going to be, figure out all the dimensions, mill all the lumber, and then let it sit for a year or two is... can't fathom it. It actually doesn't sound fun at all to do that. Unfortunately, it appears I'm one board short. Since this guy has too much bark, it's not even a full board, so I'm gonna have to knock down another log here just to get one board out of it. Before I do, the weather's, we're supposed to drop about 10 plus more degrees tonight and the next couple nights, so, oh, a bucket's full. So I'm draining out what's left of the water in my tower here, put it in buckets so if and when it does freeze, I still have it. If I leave it in there, it'll break the tank or break the nozzle or something, so got to get it out of there. As soon as these buckets are gone, that's the end of showering out here. And drinking water gets a whole lot more difficult too. As always, trying to race the weather. Got just hours. Oh man, it's so close. I don't know if we're gonna get a 10-footer out of here. It's pretty smushy down here. Well, even if it doesn't end up a full 10-foot board, I could use a couple of, like 2 5s or something too. Weirdly, when you cut a log that's sitting like this from the top down, the log wants to break apart like that and it pinches the bar together. So as you cut down from the top most of the way down until you just see the cracks start closing, and then I'll cut from the bottom up. This one is going the other way. The log's trying to go like this, and I think there's still a lot of tension on the stump there holding this side of the thing up. I could be wrong. I might have been not quite seeing it, but we'll see what happens. So probably this end's going to go up. This is going to go down, and hopefully I can do it without getting the bar caught. Sometimes it gets caught just the way it is, and just grab the other saw and cut it out. You don't want to do it more than a couple times though. You end up running out of saws. That's fantastic. Still great wood except for that little bit on the top. This is my little saw. You can see it's about 3 inches short of getting through there. The other bar on the other saw is 2 inches longer, but then you lose about 3 inches because of the mill. So, I mean, it's relatively close to what the mill will do. So this log, since it's kind of this weird, a little bit oblong, I'm gonna have to set it up on its side to mill through it. But, because all I'm trying to do right now is get one board out of this, one good, wide, solid board, I shouldn't have any problem, because the first board would be narrower than going right through the middle of it. So, see if we can get this on some stands. Wow, that's a stout one. Whew. That's such a big log. It's so high up. It's like almost like a milling on sawhorses. The rest of this is kind of in the way. I'm just gonna chop it out of here. Since I'm short on time, I'm just gonna leave the bark on here. I don't really have time to knock it off. Already I can see the darkness rolling in and the temperature dropping, so probably make one cut with this dull chain, switch it out, and make one more. Hopefully I can get through it with this. Woo, that was loud. That's some really pretty stuff. Nice as the last one, which I guess makes sense since it's the same tree. Now that I think of it, I'm not 100% sure that one of these is enough, but I'm not going to cut another one up if I don't need it. Oh yeah, it's plenty enough. Yeah. How nice does that look? Get a good gander before I put my big black fire boots all over it and scuff it up. It's pretty. Alright, let's nail it down and cut it off before we get snowed on here. When I say we, I don't think you guys are even gonna notice it. I mean, I don't think it'll get wet or anything. I don't know, maybe. I don't really know how it works. I gotta make a, thinking about doing a several 100-mile loop around the state and hitting all the Habitat for Humanity restores just to stock back up on fasteners and all sorts of weird stuff you can get there. This box came from there, and I've used it to put just about everything I've built together, and it's getting low. It's probably enough to do this, but we'll definitely need more nails to finish this thing. I'm gonna use a lot of plenty nails to put these down, since this wood is so prone to cracking and warping and everything. And if that's not enough in the box to do all of it, I'll just leave a couple boards not attached for now. It's not really worth doing this and having all the floorboards buckle up. I may actually come back and put more. I'm putting like 3 across on each floor joist, so hopefully that's enough. Good news is the weather says it's been snowing here for an hour. If this is the kind of snowstorms we're in for this winter, I'm game. Get back here. Snow running for you, buddy. Uh-oh. I'm starting to feel it. Oh no. Damn. I was so close. All I want to do is cut the ends of this off, but it's coming. Thanks y'all for watching. I guess next week's video, hopefully when this, I think this is going to pass in a couple days, I'm going to go back out to that big old pine log that I used for the frame for this, mill it up into 2x4s, I guess, and I guess while I'm milling, I'll have to figure out how to lay the walls out, like what kind of roof I want, what direction. I've got some hand-me-down windows from the Habitat Restore. I think there are 2 or 3, maybe there are 4 of them, I don't know. I don't know if I want to use all those. I kind of like a bunch of shelves on at least one wall, so maybe, I don't know, we'll see. I'll just figure it out once I see how much lumber I got, and I don't know, whatever feels right on that day. Thanks for watching, y'all. See you soon. Stay dry.